Tonight, a 13-year-old girl is recovering after a wild hog attacked her. It happened on a private property along Highway 281 near the community of Morgan Mill in Erath County.
For years, the rest of the United States looked at Texas and laughed. The state was losing a war against an enemy that learned faster than humans could hunt them. Farmers were waking up to find entire livelihoods vanished overnight, erased by an invasive force that seemed unstoppable.
A super pig is a hybrid between a European wild boar and a domestic pig.
But then the laughter stopped. Texas went silent, reorganized, and unleashed a strategy so advanced it looked like science fiction. They didn't just find a new weapon, they rewrote the laws of nature. And what they discovered in the process is about to change everything we know about survival. The day the crops vanished. In 2004, a farmer named Jay Norman sat in his tractor in Fannin County, Texas, and witnessed something that felt like a horror movie. He was planting corn, driving slowly down the rows, doing the work that kept his family fed. But when he reached the end of a row and turned that heavy machinery around, his heart stopped. Behind him, more than 100 wild boars were eating the seeds he had just put in the ground. They were not eating seeds from yesterday. They were eating seeds that had hit the dirt 5 minutes ago.
Killing an average of 20 to 30 pigs every time you go, and the crop still gets completely destroyed, like, that's a problem.
This was not random. These animals had been watching him. They understood the pattern of the tractor. They knew that the loud noise meant food, and they knew exactly when it was safe to strike. By the time Norman could even react, hours of labor and thousands of dollars in resources were gone. Just like that. But here's the catch. Norman is not alone. This scene plays out every single night across the state. Texas is currently under siege by an estimated 2.6 million feral hogs. To put that in perspective, that is a population larger than the city of Houston, all armed with tusks, a ravenous appetite, and an intelligence that rivals a dog. These animals are not just wandering aimlessly, they are an organized force of destruction. The data is terrifying. Official reports say these hogs cause $119 million in agricultural damage annually. But that number is old news. It is from 2019.
Controlling the population of wild hogs is an ongoing struggle in the state of Texas, including locations like this one along certain parts of the Trinity River. Now, it is estimated there are about 2 million feral hogs in Texas.
Today, experts believe the real cost is closer to $500 million every single year. We are talking about $500 million of the American economy being rooted up, eaten, and trampled into the mud.
Pigs gone wild. Researchers found that Texas has the worst feral hog problem in the entire country. Wild hogs cause a lot of destruction, and researchers estimate around $2.5 billion in agricultural damage.
Adam Henry, a supervisor with Texas Wildlife Services, put it bluntly. He said they are running from one batch of hogs to the next every single day. It is a game of whack-a-mole where the moles weigh 300 pounds and can rip through a steel fence. Most people think this is just a farm problem. They think it only affects guys like Jay Norman out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, about that. Recently, a massive group of wild pigs invaded Irving, Texas, tearing up yards near Champions Park and destroying school property. They are moving into the suburbs. They are adapting to city life, and they are doing it fast. Farmers have tried everything. They tried trapping, they tried baiting, they tried running dogs to scare them off. But it is not that simple, though. Jay Norman realized that traditional traps were useless because the hogs learned how they worked. You might catch one or two, but the rest of the group, known as a sounder, would stand back and watch. They would see their friend get caught, and they would never go near that trap again. It gets worse. These animals breed at a rate that is mathematically impossible to beat with a rifle. A single sow can have 2 litters a year, with up to 6 piglets each time. Do the math. Even if you eliminate 500 hogs from your land this year, the remaining females can replace every single one of them in 6 months.
What we need to think about is at that time that female reaches her first birthday, quite likely she's already put the first litter on the ground. So you think one female as a litter size of 6 At her first birthday, she's already recruited 3 little females to that population. At their first birthday, they're going to be recruiting more to theirs.
It is an exponential nightmare. You are not fighting an army, you are fighting a biological wildfire. Bruce Leland from the Texas Wildlife Service admitted the terrifying truth. He said, "We have nothing new available to control feral hogs." Think about that. We can put a rover on Mars, but we cannot stop a pig from eating a cornfield. Or so they thought, because while the rest of the country was laughing at Texas, making jokes about the hog apocalypse, the state was quietly working on a counterattack. They realized that brute force was not working. They needed to outsmart an animal that had evolved to survive everything humans threw at it. They needed a weapon that the hogs could not learn from. A weapon that strikes so fast and so hard that there is no time to adapt. And what they came up with is not just a trap, it is a system. A system that turned the tide of the war and left the experts speechless. But to understand how it works, you have to understand the technology that is powering it. This is where the story shifts from a tragedy to a techno-thriller. The digital hunting revolution. The first breakthrough came in the form of the smart trap. Forget the rusty metal cages you see in old movies. This is the era of the smartphone trapper. Farmers began setting up large corrals filled with corn, but instead of a tripwire, they installed high-definition cameras connected to a cellular network. Here is how it works. The farmer goes to sleep. The hogs come out to eat. They enter the corral thinking it is just another free meal. The camera beams a live video feed directly to the farmer's phone, who is lying in bed miles away. He watches. He waits. He does not trigger the trap for one pig. He waits for the whole sounder. 10 hogs. 20 hogs. Once the entire family is inside, he taps a button on his screen. Boom! The gate drops. It is instant. It is silent. And it captures 100% of the group. No survivors to run away and teach the others. This technology, deployed in places like Irving, turned daily invasions into 0 sightings within weeks. But the technology is expensive. We are talking thousands of dollars for setup and monthly fees. But when you compare that to losing 160 acres of corn at $400 an acre, the math starts to make sense. But a trap sits still. Texas needed something that could move. Enter heli bacon. If you have $4,000 and a thirst for adrenaline, you can strap yourself into a multi-million-dollar helicopter, grab a machine gun, and hunt feral hogs from the sky.
It actually, I think it started in 2011 with Dustin. I think he started doing helicopter hog hunts and all that right around that time frame.
This is not a video game. This is a state-sanctioned aerial assault. Taylor Carey from Heli Bacon explains that this attracts people from all over the world. Brits, Australians, Canadians. They come to Texas to do the one thing they cannot do anywhere else: lean out of a chopper at sunrise and unleash hell on an invasive species. But get this isn't just for sport, it is a crucial tactical advantage. On the ground, a hunter can cover maybe a few hundred acres. In a helicopter, you can cover 4,000 acres in a single morning. You can see through the brush. You can spot the bedding areas where the hogs hide during the day. You can flush them out of the creek beds where tractors cannot go. The pilots fly low, pushing the hogs into the open. The gunners eliminate them. It is fast, it is brutal, and it is effective. They are not hunting for trophies, they are hunting for volume. They are trying to reduce the biomass of a destructive force. However, even with machine guns in the sky, the hogs were still winning. Why? Because helicopters cannot fly at night and smart traps are expensive. The hogs were still breeding in the deep woods, hidden from the thermal scopes and the chopper blades. Texas needed something more. They needed a way to reach the hogs that would never come to a trap and never step into a clearing. They needed a ghost. And that is when the scientists stepped in. They didn't build a better gun, they built a better poison. But this wasn't just any poison. This was a chemical agent designed with such precision that it felt like something out of a spy novel. And the way they deployed it, that is the real genius. But using poison in the wild is dangerous. What if a deer eats it? What if a raccoon gets in? The solution they found to that problem is one of the most clever pieces of engineering in modern agriculture. It's invisible, it's silent, and it's deadly. The silent elimination method. The word poison scares people. It sounds messy, it sounds risky, but Texas didn't have a choice. When you are losing $500 million a year, you take the gloves off. The state approved the use of warfarin-based toxins specifically designed for hogs. But you cannot just throw poison corn on the ground.
Today, the state has given the go-ahead to use poison against feral hogs. The product, called Kaput, uses warfarin, commonly known as rat poison. The new pesticide is causing some concerns for hunters and conservationists alike because other animals may be exposed.
That would be an ecological disaster. You would eliminate deer, raccoons, bears, and everything else. So they engineered a delivery system that only a pig could open. These bait stations are like Fort Knox for wildlife. They have heavy guillotine doors or magnetized lids. A raccoon is too weak to lift it. A deer doesn't have the snout strength to push it. But a 300-pound hog, they can muscle their way in. So here is the deal. It is a psychological game. Bruce Leland explains that you don't just put the poison in on day one, you train them. You start with regular corn. You let them eat. You let them feel safe. You let them tell their friends that this weird box is the best restaurant in town. Then you switch to a placebo, a fake poison. You watch them on camera. You make sure the bears and the deer are staying away. You confirm that only the hogs are eating. And then you switch the bait one last time. The hogs eat, they leave, and they never come back. Entire sounders are neutralized in a single cycle. Researchers are also testing sodium nitrite, which acts even faster. The goal is to have a rotation of chemicals so the hogs never build an immunity. Critics hate it. They worry about the food chain. They worry about cruelty. But the farmers who have seen their fields turned into moonscapes don't see it that way. They see it as the only thing standing between them and bankruptcy.
What are they capable of?
They're very destructive. If I looked at it on average, I could lose up to 10% of my grain crops in a growing season from the wild hogs. They don't just do an acre, they can do acres in a night.
But even with the poison, the traps, and the helicopters, there was still a flaw in the plan. Imagine you are a farmer. You spend thousands of dollars clearing your land. You trap, you shoot, you poison. You get your property 100% hog-free. But your neighbor? He doesn't do anything. He likes seeing the pigs. Or maybe he is just lazy. Guess what happens next week? The pigs from his land walk across the fence, and you are back to square one. This neighbor problem was the single biggest reason Texas was losing the war. It didn't matter how good your tech was if the guy next door was running a pig sanctuary. So Texas had to change the culture. They had to stop thinking like individual farmers and start thinking like an army. They had to invent a new way of working together that forced everyone to pull the trigger at the same time. This was the turning point. This was the moment the tide actually shifted. It wasn't about the tech, it was about the timing. No more places to hide. The breakthrough was coordination. It was a shell game. So they started organizing massive multi-county operations. They got everyone in a defined area to agree to a timeline. On this week, everyone traps. On the next week, everyone hunts. On the third week, the toxins go out. It was a synchronized strike. The hogs had nowhere to run. If they ran from Jay Norman's farm, they ran straight into a trap on his neighbor's land. The pressure was constant and universal. Communication networks were set up. Farmers used group messaging apps to track movement in real time. Hey, the sounder is heading north toward the creek.
Pigs, 11 o'clock.
And I got pigs stamp up.
So we're flying along there. I'm still getting a little bit acclimated with everything. And Johnny's like, I got pigs. And I look down there, dude. Oh, he got lots of pigs. A sea of pigs, acres of pigs.
The north neighbor would be waiting with thermal scopes. The results were instant. In areas that use this coordinated approach, hog populations dropped by 60 to 70% within 2 years. That is massive. That is the difference between losing a crop and making a profit, and that is putting it lightly. Jay Norman went from replanting 600 acres a year to just 40. The psychological weight lifted. Farmers felt like they were in control again. They weren't victims, they were managers. But Texas isn't stopping there. They are looking at the holy grail of invasive species control: sterilization. Scientists are working on a contraceptive bait. If you can stop the reproduction, the population collapses on its own. It is the long game. It is the final nail in the coffin. Is it really over? We have pushed them back, but nature always finds a way to adapt. Are we just creating a smarter, stronger super pig that we won't be able to stop next time? Hit that like button if you think Texas won the war, and subscribe to see what nature throws at us next.